Many years ago, in a small American village surrounded by fields and hills, there lived a poor man named Thomas Miller. The village was quiet. There were no cars, only horses and wagons. The road was dusty in summer and muddy in rain. At night, people used oil lamps and candles. Thomas lived in a tiny wooden house at the end of the village. The roof leaked when it rained. The wind came through a broken window. Inside, there was only a small bed, a rough table, and 2 old chairs. Thomas was poor, very poor. He worked as a farmhand on other people's land. Every day, before sunrise, he walked to the fields. He planted, he watered, he carried heavy sacks, he cut wheat and corn. At the end of the week, the farmer gave him a few coins. Most of that money went to bread, flour, and a little salt. Sometimes Thomas could not even afford meat. Many nights he drank only water and went to bed hungry. But Thomas was different, poor in money, but rich in his mind. When Thomas was a boy, there had been a small school in the village. He loved reading, he loved learning. But his father died when Thomas was young. He had to leave school and work to help his mother. Even after that, he never forgot the joy of learning. In the evenings, after long days in the fields, other workers sat outside the general store. They smoked, complained about life. "This land is cursed," one said. "We will always be poor," another replied. Thomas listened quietly, then walked home. Inside his small house, on a rough wooden shelf, he kept a few old books. Books the village teacher had given him. One about farming, one about great American inventors and leaders, and one simple Bible. He read them again and again by dim lamplight. Sometimes the lamp oil was almost finished, but still he read a few pages. He underlined sentences with charcoal and whispered to himself, "If you cannot put gold in your pocket, put knowledge in your head." Thomas believed this deeply. "I have no gold," he thought, "but I can fill my mind, and if my mind becomes rich, maybe one day my life will change." Every year, the farmers faced the same problem. They planted wheat again and again in the same fields. At first, harvests were good, but slowly the soil became weak. Plants turned yellow. Dry years destroyed crops. Farmers blamed the weather and fate. "It is God's will," they said. "Nothing can be done." But Thomas wondered, is it really only the weather, or are we doing something wrong? One evening, Thomas opened his old farming book, turned the pages slowly, and found a chapter called Crop Rotation. It said, planting the same crop again and again steals nutrients from the soil, but changing crops, wheat one year, beans the next, clover after that, makes the soil rich again. Thomas's heart beat faster. "So the problem is not only the sky," he whispered. "It's the way we use the ground." The book also spoke of saving rainwater, using animal manure, protecting young plants from wind. Thomas closed the book, his eyes shining. "If this is true," he said softly, "then I don't have to stay poor forever." The next day, Thomas went to old Mr. Harris, owner of a small, unused rocky field near the river. "Sir," Thomas said respectfully, "may I use your land for 1 year? If I succeed, we share the profit. If I fail, you lose nothing." Mr. Harris laughed. "That land is useless," he said, "full of stones. Nothing grows there." Thomas replied calmly, "I want to try something I learned from books." Mr. Harris looked at his tired clothes, thin hands, and honest eyes. "Very well," he said, "1 year." Thomas walked to the field. Weeds everywhere, stones everywhere, dry, hard soil. But in his mind, he saw green plants, full sacks, and a different future. For weeks, Thomas worked after his regular job. Mornings on other farms, evenings on his own land. Pulling weeds, removing stones, breaking hard soil. Villagers laughed. "That fool is farming stones," they said. Thomas remembered a line he had read. Great changes look foolish at first, and kept working. He spread manure, dug water channels, planted beans, corn, clover. He watched the wind, felt the soil, studied the land. His body grew tired, but his mind felt alive. Spring passed, summer came. Village crops struggled, but Thomas's field turned green, strong, healthy. Mr. Harris came to see, stood silently, then said, "I have never seen this land look alive." Thomas replied simply, "I read, I observed, I worked. The book taught me, the land taught me, and God sent the rain." At harvest time, the field gave more food than anyone expected. Sacks of beans, baskets of corn, bundles of clover. Thomas held more coins than ever before, but he didn't waste them. He bought more books. Soon, farmers noticed, asked for help. Thomas shared knowledge freely. Slowly, the village changed. Harvests improved, laughter stopped, respect began. Years passed. Thomas didn't become famous or rich overnight, but he became something greater. A man with a rich mind, a respected man. One day, a young boy asked him, "How did you change your life?" Thomas smiled and said, "I was poor in money, but I refused to be poor in my mind. When others complained, I learned. When others slept, I read. Then I worked." He placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Remember this, a rich mind can change any life. Because money can be lost, land can be lost, but what you put in your mind can never be taken away." Moral: you may live in a small house with little money, but never let your mind stay poor. Read, think, work, because when your mind becomes rich, your life will follow. If you liked this story, share it and subscribe for more inspiring stories.